Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg and it's the 20th day of June 2024. Welcome to our show today. Today we're going to have a little bit of a short show. I think that we're going to go through things with Ralph and Karen here this morning because I've actually had a very, very busy week this week. And tomorrow's going to be fun because we're going to have some of my friends from Turning Point US, our Turning Point Action that I went to last weekend. And we were all in Media Row. So I was really intrigued by this because they're all citizen journalists. None of them are doing it for the money. They're all doing it to take the nation back. And I was really excited to meet people that are kind of like myself, where we're not as much as interested in building a huge following as just getting the truth out there. And those who are really interested in the truth will in fact find us. And so we're going to be doing a show on that tomorrow. It's going to be Ralph, Karen, and Dr. Kent at 9 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock it'll be the media row with several people there. And I just want to show you here. Ooh, let's see. There you go. And Pepe's with us today. I've got Pepe in my pocket. So good way to start the day out. And what's happening with you guys today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm recovering a little bit from yesterday, but I still have more planting to do today.
Oh, you were in the garden yesterday, weren't you?
Yep.
Long day. I think all of us have had a really long week this week. I had a couple of dumpster fires I had to put out in one of our companies, and so I've just been kind of a little bit overtaxed. Last night I hit the bed about 7:30. Night before I hit it about 8:30 or so, and been sleeping about 10 hours a night the last 2 days.
Wow.
And
That's unusual for you.
I never do that. I'm usually about 6 hours a night. In fact, I was talking to Christina Holbeck, who's going to be on tomorrow with us, and she said that she slept 10 hours a night since leaving the Turning Point Action effort too. So there's something going on there because all of us, our behinds are dragging substantially. But I think it's just maybe that we just needed to sleep. But there was so much action there and motion. I'm kind of excited to put this all out there, quite honestly, because there was a lot going on, a lot of good people there, tremendously good people. And I like the people that are working behind the scenes more than the audience builders, the people in front of the camera typically, just because they're the ones that are doing the actual work. And so I had a bunch of interviews, and I can't even tell you how many interviews actually I had. It was just incredible. It was nonstop from like 8 in the morning until sometimes 8 at night. It was just crazy how many interviews we had. We actually got kicked out at one point in time because Secret Service, the day that President Donald J. Trump, the rightful president of the United States, was supposed to speak, there was some sort of a breach. So all of us got ushered out of the room, and for an hour and a half, they had the dogs in there, and they were sweeping the room, which was kind of interesting. So much security. It was incredible.
I always love seeing dogs like that, where they're, any kind of animal that has a job, they really do seem to enjoy having an assignment.
Oh, yes.
They're happy.
Well, some dogs do. And I like those kinds of dogs. I don't like dogs that are just like foo-foo and have no purpose in life.
Yeah. It's like, used to have a husky years ago, and boy, after having a husky, the idea of anybody saying that sled dog races are cruelty to animals is absolutely laughable. Because that when you watch sled dog races, those dogs are having the time of their life. You cannot stop a husky from pulling. They will pull no matter what. That is the best thing in life. And so it's always fun to see.
Yeah, if you harness that power. We had a husky when my kids were little, and we got a harness for him, and he used to pull the kids down the sidewalk with this old mini bike frame that we had laying around, and it was the greatest thing. And or the sleds in the yard. hilarious, absolutely hilarious. This dog just absolutely loses mind having fun with the job.
Did you know, and I posted about it this morning, Kim Jong-un gave Putin a pair of very rare homebred dogs native to the country. They bred them from wolves. So they look like a white husky. They're what we call a Spitz breed.
Yeah,
and
I think
they had them. What's
Huskies
that?
are technically in the Spitz breed family.
Yep. Basically anything with a fuzzy double coat with pricked ears and curled up tail. Most of them are Spitzes.
What's really funny is
I would not want any of them.
You wouldn't want any of them?
No. In fact, it was kind of funny because I saw a video clip of the dogs, because I saw some pictures of them tied up inside a little tiny picket fence area where they were showing them to Putin. And, I'd be like, gee, thanks.
Yeah, that's like realistic.
He's going to take them to Moscow. They're going to live in Moscow. So he did accept them. But one of them's like, roo, roo, roo.
Yeah, they really
Yep.
go, ooh, like if they go, woo, 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 and you give it a talk too. If you do that to them, they'll actually talk to you. But I'm going to tell you, we had to build a wolf pen for ours because they are escape artists. They're so smart. They're like wolves, and they can literally escape anything. We had to line this wolf pen with 80-pound flat like patio pavers, but they were 80 pounds. Otherwise the dog could and put wire on the bottom underneath the dirt in the pen, because they can literally dig through and get out anything. This one dog was so smart, he could unravel a chain link fence. So then we had to tie this chain link fence down to something that he couldn't, to the one that went under the cage, because if we didn't wire it all together, he would find a way to get out of this thing. It was incredible.
Yep. They're notorious for it. People think that Huskies are, I guess some people are attracted to them. It's not my thing. I'm attracted to dogs I would never want to live with too. Like, I had Cocker Spaniels growing up, and they are the cutest puppies, man. Bloodhound puppies, cute, adorable puppies. Had one for a while, but they are not easy to take care of, and they're just not suitable for my lifestyle. And Cockers are just the way a lot of them are bred nowadays. I wouldn't want one. But anyway, I don't know why other people like them, but some people just think they're cute or whatever, but they don't realize the work that goes into keeping them. Like you said, they're notorious escape artists. They need a lot of exercise. I mean, they're bred to run miles and miles and miles every day for fun. So if you don't have something like that to do with them, they're going to make your life miserable.
We actually lunge the dogs like we do horses. We put them on a really long leash and just run them around in a circle and give them something to chase after and such, just to let them tear it. They're absolutely hilarious.
So I just posted a song to the private chat that I don't know how much of it that we would be able to play without having copyright issues, but this is a great song.
All right, we're going to do this because it's funny. Hang on, funny guys. Hang on. Pretty sure I
like the videos of Huskies singing together in people's houses. I could watch it for like 2 minutes and then I'm good for a year. I wouldn't want to live with it.
All right, let's see if we can figure out if we can get on here without the...
Haiku, sing! Haiku, sing!
Can't be serious all the time.
sweet melody written many years ago.
Okay, there I go. I hit it 1 minute. Let's see if we can keep it, but it's funny at any rate. So
Somebody did a mix like that with cats too.
that's fun.
Oh, he did another really fun one with a parrot. Or, no, cockatiel.
A cockatiel.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. Okay, so I'm going to share this. Now, we started out this morning, so now we got our sillies out of the way. Let's talk about how they're using technology to rob people. Karen posted this morning. I reposted it from Police Frequency on my Telegram channel. But just check this out, guys, because theft and robbery are really pretty high tech right now. And they can, as is proven with what we found, what Bob Terry found, and we've been talking about for a couple weeks here, of them hacking our elections. Anything electronic can be hacked. So check this out.
You're watering your plants.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's been there or what, but it is scary.
The discovery of a camouflage camera leaves a homeowner on edge. Part of a rising crime trend targeting homes here and across the country. Welcome to the Fox 11 News at 5 simulcast on our sister station, Fox 11 Plus. I'm Christine Devine.
And I'm Alex Michelson. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf live for us tonight in the neighborhood where this camera was located. Matthew, what happened?
Well, Alex, this is really creepy. The camera was found hidden in a bush right over here, pointed across the street to another home where that break-in took place. And we're seeing cases like this happen more and more.
This little thing was like coming out.
A camera found hidden in a bush outside a home.
Yes,
I got scared because I heard about the news.
as much as songs are aggressively copyright, Fox is incredibly aggressively copyright sensitive. So, yeah, but this was an interesting one. I saw what Karen posted earlier on this, and that it synopsis is that the camera was hidden at a neighbor's house across the street from the break-in, and the Wi-Fi went out in the neighborhood at the same time as the break-in. Correct, Karen?
Yeah. So basically, these criminals they're using some tech. They had a battery pack and a camera not at the house where they were going to rob, but across the street, thinking it would never get caught. And under most circumstances, it wouldn't have been found. And then they cut off the Wi-Fi so that the security cameras in the other homes in the area, or the one, if they had a camera, would not be able to pick up the robbery itself. It sounded like it was a failed attempt at the robbery, so it didn't. I don't know what happened. They didn't detail that in the report. But apparently this is like a new technique that they're using. So they're surveilling the house to know when people are not home, and then trying to cover their tracks. It's not so random like, oh, that person's got fancy cars and we'll watch them and see when they leave and then get in there at night. You know, I mean, that's how I used to think burglars worked, but it's much more sophisticated now.
Well, there's all kinds of tools for that, and you've got all the surveillance on everything, and it's everything keeps getting smaller, so it's easier for criminals to hide it.
In a way, yes, but also I think they're getting caught more often now too. But the problem I see is that we're not prosecuting the criminals the way that we should. We've got debtors' prisons for dads, and and that sort of thing, which is ridiculous. And they're spending way too much time on victimless crimes or victimless infractions. They're not even crimes. They're not a crime unless there's a victim. And then letting the real criminals go, which is a real problem with law enforcement right now.
Yeah, and people have gotten increasingly reliant on technologies that require the internet to use, which is, you know, if you had local recording cameras, you wouldn't need the internet. It wouldn't matter if the internet was up. You could still catch people doing stuff like this. So this attack basically relies entirely on everybody having cloud-based cameras.
Well, I think it's really important to have hard copies of stuff, be it books or videos and such offline. We really need to store our stuff offline pretty well. What are your thoughts on that, Ralph?
Well, I guess as far as cameras go, a lot of the cameras do have a spot for a micro SD card, and you can add that to the camera so that it has a local recording capability. That's, about the easiest way I can think of is just make sure that it's recording locally. Then it doesn't matter if the internet's up or not, because it really, it's not difficult to take internet out. If someone wants to break into your house, there's a very good chance that they could pretty much just go up to the side of your house and clip the internet line and you're done, And so if you've got cameras like that, a lot of them already have that capability, and a micro SD card that would be big enough for, a day's worth of video on a lot of cameras is not very expensive. Also, even going further than that, you can get systems that are self-contained recording systems that let you record locally to like a central hard drive, and you can tie cameras into that, and that way you can have pretty much as much recording time as you want. And if somebody damages a camera, because even if a camera is recording locally to a micro SD card, somebody comes up to it with a baseball bat, knocks it off your house, well, that's not going to help you too much. So if you record to, a central location like that and secure it real well, it adds another bit of security to it. And ideally, you'd still use the micro SD cards in the cameras as well, just as a backup, because then you're recording to multiple locations. The other thing, too, that I've seen, because I've put together camera systems before, is most of the cameras that are out there that are consumer-level cameras, with the exception of, I think there's two companies right now that are still American. Almost all of the rest of them are Chinese-made. And I've caught those cameras when you turn off every feature on them that should talk to the internet. I've caught them still trying to talk to the internet. And so you do want to be a little cautious on that, because you don't know who's actually watching those cameras if you have them connected to the internet. But if you're using micro SD cards, a lot of those cameras will run just fine just with a micro SD card and not connected to the cloud. And like I said, there's like two companies out there that make cameras that are still made in America, or made in America enough that they pass government scrutiny. But those cameras are exorbitantly expensive.
We with all the information and evidence we have about them hacking our elections electronically through Microsoft, GitHub, and all the rest of that, I think everybody needs to be really cautious with their technology, because one thing that we know for sure is that nothing is quite honestly bomb-proof to attacks, and so you've got to lower your risk to it should be at zero acceptable level, but that's not realistic. So
yeah, everything electronic is in some way going to be hackable. There's security weaknesses, not just in electronic things, but in physical things as well. But electronic things, a lot of times it lowers the barrier significantly.
have you heard anything about LED lights? Because something I heard about LED lights is they can be used as sort of an active phased array antenna, transmitter, or receiver. Is that correct?
I've heard some stuff about that, and I don't quite buy it, because there's enough people that I've seen taking apart LED bulbs and doing an analysis on the circuitry on them. Big Clive does a great job of taking apart a lot of things and analyzing how they're constructed.
That guy's nuts.
Yeah.
It makes
But-
it fun.
Yeah. But he's got a lot of really good information in there. And if they were hiding that kind of thing in LED bulbs, it's possible to do. But I don't think it's something that's widespread. It would be much more likely to be something that you would use as a targeted attack on a facility, like go and swap out the bulbs for like in the supply closet of a building, swap out the bulbs so that when the bulbs are changed next, that you now have bulbs that have circuitry in them that would spy. But I'm not going to say it isn't possible, but it would be pretty hard to hide that kind of an attack with how many people are taking these things apart to see how they're built.
Okay. Well,
I still say the vigilant neighbor and, hey, having a dog. Here we go. We're back to dog comms today. Having a dog to alert the whole neighborhood. If you got a dog that barks when things aren't normal, there is some
Guineas.
value to that.
We need guineas. That's what we need.
Or guineas.
I have seen light bulbs, though, that have cameras in them. That is actually a product that is an off-the-shelf product that you can buy. There's a lot of surveillance products that are targeted at, I'm going to say their target market is less than savory Airbnb hosts. And there are an awful lot of ways of hiding cameras that are off-the-shelf ways to do that. And that's one of the big risks that you have when you're renting an Airbnb, which
can go to hotels though too. I mean, look at all the hotels that are participating in housing illegal aliens, which the word right there is illegal, and taking the government money for illegal aliens being housed there in big dollars, theft of the U.S. taxpayers' money. So I think everybody is a little bit suspect in my opinion.
Yeah. But there's cameras that can be hidden in light bulbs. There's cameras that you can hide in like outlet covers. There's a lot of ways to do that nowadays, and so having that kind of technology in just standard LED bulbs that you're not specifically purchasing for that purpose, I think is possible but unlikely. However, if you're in a space that you don't control, outside of your home, that kind of thing is definitely a possibility that someone has, specifically purchased and installed something like that. But on the other hand, you can do that with just about anything, not just light bulbs. So, you could hide that in a screw hole in a wall or a painting or, whatever. So, there's only so much stuff you can actually worry about at a time. What's your most likely threat? So, yeah.
Here we go. This is from Karen's channel from Midnight Rider. Carly Bonet. Love Carly. Carly's cool. And at any rate, monster, illegal immigrant, illegal, the operative word here, people. That means that they're breaking the law. They know what they're doing. It's with intention. They're not sending us their best, guys, just so you know. Illegal migrant confesses I'm going to say illegal alien, because he's an alien in our land, confesses he filmed himself raping girl 13 in Queens Park. Not happy with what's going on here, but the operative word for the day is illegal. And if it's illegal, what do you expect out of these people? This is exactly what they're going to do.
They were looking for that guy for, I don't know, several days.
Did you see this other guy that it was another illegal alien guy? I think he grabbed a tie or something around a woman's neck and choked her till she passed out and then he raped her in between two cars. There's a couple of things that have happened lately. And somebody was telling me about another gal who, younger, I think she was 17, and she got in an Uber drunk, and the guy took off with her and raped her. His dad caught him in the act and beat the living hell out of him. They took him into custody, and they're afraid of letting him out because they're afraid that if they let him back out, that this guy ain't gonna make it. I have no words right now except for he did it. He knew what he was doing. It was with intention. And, we need to follow the legal process, except the legal process isn't freaking legal right now with the unlawful Department of Justice right now. So we kind of got a mess going on. I really believe in following the law. However, they're not following the law. So what do? We have to remove them. We absolutely have to remove them. Miranda Devine, I'm going through your channel right now, Karen.
Okay. I have a question for Ralph, the IT guy.
Okay.
So let's say, in the movies, they have like the FBI or whatever agency, they have some equipment that they can check for bugs, like debugging gear.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a civilian level tool that someone could go around their house if they wanted to and check for such things?
Kind of, sort of, but not something that I would say is necessarily reliable without having some radio knowledge. That's one place where a ham radio license would actually be quite helpful for, or at least ham radio knowledge, for being able to find spurious emissions from things.
Okay.
You can do it, and in fact, one of the better ways that I know of to do it is actually to use about a $10 device, but you have to have an idea of what you're doing to be able to kind of interpret the results.
Okay, so what's the device?
It is a tuner, broad spectrum radio tuner that you can attach to a computer. They are here. Let me see if I can find one in a minute.
Post one in the chat for us, please. We'll go back to this while Ralph's looking. Here you go. Presidential no-fly zone alert is up for pilots. Joe Biden will be in Camp David for a full 7 days until next Thursday, June 27, debate day. He really takes debate prep seriously. Or they're drugging him so he can actually stumble on screen. Oh, I'm so mean. I'm so mean. Okay, there's the photo ops with the puppies and that Karen was talking about.
I'm guessing it's a breeding pair.
They're cute. They're absolutely cute. I love huskies. Very cute. Here's a list of the DACA folks Biden let in. People arrested for sex crimes should not be allowed. Duh. Can I say duh?
Okay, so I posted one of them in the chat there. This one is a little more expensive than $10, but it's kind of like a complete kit of stuff.
Okay, let's see what we can do here. This is Donna Brandenburg running 4 screens at one time. Multitasking, the multitasking master of the universe.
And the best non-conceder who has ever non-conceded in history.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
so these guys basically allow your computer to pick up pretty much any radio signal that's out there in any band, any modulation, within limits. But these are like a universal radio receiver.
Now, can you pick up like those stingrays that are out there? I don't know if you guys know what a stingray is, but I had this explained to me by a U.S. Marshal at one point in time. That stingrays they look like they're a tall van, kind of like a Sprinter van, and you can, once you get them figured out, you can pretty well spot a lot of them. But they're a little different, and they have a mobile cell tower inside of it, basically, that picks up anything and becomes a mobile cell network in its own. But they can actually pick up your calls and these things, and listen to what's being said.
So this would probably not allow you to detect a stingray without doing quite a bit of advanced decoding. You could do it, but it would take some work. However,
and the spies.
Yeah, however, this would allow you to figure out where they are.
Oh, that'd
Once
be
you know
cool.
they're there, once you have a general location, this can let you now. Can and is legal are maybe two separate things there, because technically the cell phone bands are one of the few places on the radio spectrum that you are not supposed to receive on, regardless of whether you have a license.
Can you pick them up though? You could. I'm not talking receiving, but can just like put the finger on them and say, "Hey, here's a stingray here, or here's a blah blah there." Because I mean, they're doing it. How come they get to do it and nobody else can?
Well, if you wanted to do something, if you wanted to pick up stingrays, there's actually software for most phones that allow you to do that. That would probably be more effective than this. Because your phone is going to do the decoding and everything automatically. This is going to be more for like if you wanted to go around your house looking for bugs or something like that. But you can also use it for like picking up like shortwave radio or aircraft band, or you can use these things for picking up ADS-B signals. The device itself was actually originally designed as a TV tuner for analog TV, and then I think digital TV eventually, for your computer, so that you could watch TV on your computer. And then hackers kind of got in there and figured out, whoa, these things are way more flexible and way more powerful than just picking up TV. Now they mostly sell them not for TV, but for people to use for radio purposes, because they're like perfectly suited for that.
Just posted it on my Telegram channel.
But let me see if I can find some of the stingray catcher software for phones, because that's, if you wanted to look for stingrays, there's a better way to do it than this. So give me a minute, I'll see what I can find.
I like that ADS-B exchange. Let me see if we can. Here we go. I'm going to show everybody what this is. This is for some of us who are absolutely aircraft obsessed, such as Donna Brandenburg is. I'm going to show you what. Let's see if I can do this from my computer. I can do it. Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, I can with map here. This is kind of fun. So this is ADS-B exchange, and you can let's see who's flying over Michigan here. You can do the whole state. Let me zoom out here a minute. So here's the United States, and all right, let's go. Block my location, and we're going to go over here and move. We'll look at the state of Michigan here and see what we got. Get rid of these stupid ads. Don't you hate all these ads and everything? It's like, for gosh sake, this is so annoying. It's just so freaking annoying, and you can't. Come on, get off there. Just get. Nope, not going to do it. All right, let's see if we can get it to close here. Close. Go away. There you go. All right, so here's Michigan. Let's see what the military's doing. Oh, let's see what this guy is. So you can, the U is the military channel, and over here, let's see what we got here. We've got a Black Hawk. Yay! I love Black Hawks. They're cool. Call signal C6007. Let's see how high up he is. Ground speed, not available. See what he's doing there. That's kind of cool.
So I don't normally.
I caught him and then he disappeared. Look at that. Check out this guy. Oh, so here we got a no call signal. Let's see what it is. So there's a no call signal strato tanker. And there's his path. Let's watch what he's doing here a minute.
They're watching you.
They probably are watching me. Who's this guy? Oh, there's 6007. There you go. He's off the ground now. I think he was just sitting on the ground before. Hey guys, what you doing out there?
So I keep a window of that, and if there's a helicopter going over my house, like there was that one time, that I could pop that up and see, is that just a med flight or is there something else going on? It's kind of handy.
Or
I
does he
do
have
have
a
it.
transponder on? You know, sometimes they turn the transponders off.
Yeah.
Look at, we got 2 planes here, and let's see, we both got both of them strato tankers, no call signals. And let's see what they're doing over there. Now I'm nosy.
What's that Telegram channel? Because I don't look at it often, but I have it up all the time. I
Monkey
think
works.
it's flights and call signs is what it's called.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday they had some posting about the Russian subs on the coastline and the Coast Guard making flights, observing them.
Interesting. See, this is where his flight pattern is for this LAD helicopter. So, or it's a Dolphin too. So, at any rate, those guys, it's military. It's under military use right now, and that's kind of interesting. And then these guys tandem flying here, kind of cool. Check to see what's going on here. Oh, they're at 16,000 feet. This guy is at 16,000 feet. Looks like they're helping each other out a little bit. 16.2, 16.4. This guy is about 200 feet under the other guy. 16.85. He's climbing. 6.19. What's this guy doing?
Oh, probably just a tanker refueling another tanker, right?
Yeah, that's what they're doing. You're funny. You're so funny. But yeah, I like to watch these guys. I could sit here, stupidly, I could sit here and watch this stuff forever. Let's see what all the flights look like in Michigan today. So here we got all kinds of guys up in the air. Guys, Michigan term. Don't lose your mind here. Everybody's a guy in Michigan. So there's Michigan. Here's all flights up there that at least have their transponders on. Quite often, and somebody's going to say, how come you didn't show the UP? It doesn't matter, does it, Donna? No, it matters. I like the UP. Here's everybody skirting the international line here.
So boats are called she. Aren't planes also referred to as she?
They're just guys to me. I mean, I don't refer to them as gender.
I was just curious.
Yeah, it's like I'm waiting for somebody to like sue me for calling people guys, and I'm like, I identify as a native Michigander. Don't be stupid. So here's another one. There, what do we got? No call sign. Another military up, 1,300 feet, approximately, and military. Wonder what he's doing up there. That's kind of interesting. So anyhow,
I posted a couple of Stingray detector apps.
He came from Michigan. Check this out. He came from, I think that's Abrams. There's a little air base there. That's kind of cool. So anyhow, what was that?
So I posted a couple of different Stingray apps to the chat. I can't vouch for these for their accuracy or anything, but the EFF does some pretty good work, and Snoop Snitch is a pretty popular one. But the general idea behind a Stingray catcher is more that you collect data about where towers are in an area, and then if a new tower pops up, then you have a pretty good idea that either it's an actual tower that you would be able to actually see, or it's a Stingray. So basically what you're looking for with a Stingray detection program is something that's able to track the differences between where towers are. So it's really not a complicated thing to do, but there's not a ton of things out there to do it that are easily accessible, probably because in a lot of cases, either people don't know enough to be able to use them properly, or the app itself may have been taken down. So Snoop Snitch, though, the last one that I posted in there is one that I believe that one is actually still up on the Google Play Store. I haven't seen any that are available for Apple phones anymore. I think there used to be, but I don't see them now.
All right, so you've got GitHub there, which we know is a Microsoft product for hacking our elections. They're all involved in it. I've got a grudge match against them right now.
Yeah, well, GitHub is a Microsoft thing. However, there are the one thing I will say about it is that Git is a distributed system, so anybody can have just as authoritative of a copy of source code for things as anybody else.
Right.
And so if you don't like what they're doing there, fork the code to your own repository and work on it yourself.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Yeah, we're going to do that in a minute there, Ralph. This is Android patch level analysis, so assume that this is for nerds.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of the case for anything that's a stingray catcher. It's Snoop Snitch is one that probably pretty much anybody could run, but there's going to be a steep learning curve to any kind of a stingray detection program. And you may have to collect data for a while on your area to figure out where all of the towers are before you're able to even detect stingrays in that area, because you have to have a baseline to figure out what changed.
All right, and here we go, boys and girls, and here is GitHub, part of the Microsoft Trader Network. So, there you go.
And for anyone currently using GitHub, there is GitLab as an alternative.
I don't know how this plays into this conversation, but I am aware too that radio people, when they get on ham radios and there's somebody that's violating the rules and creating a little chaos, there's a way that they can get together, and it's like a triangulation effect where they can figure out where that person is.
Oh yeah. In fact, there's even competitions for that called a fox hunt, where someone will go hide a transmitter somewhere, and then people will try and find the transmitter. Usually using radio direction finding equipment, where you just more or less walk around and it'll have a signal, like you've got a left and a right antenna, more or less, and whichever one is stronger, you walk toward that. You can do triangulation too, but the FCC is suspected / known to do triangulation between some of their surveillance sites to be able to hunt down interference on bands, because the FCC actually runs surveillance sites all over the country for basically just receiving all of radio everything. And then they can figure out what's going on the band, see if there's anybody violating the rules, that kind of thing. Which, as much as I am against government overreach, the FCC does have some necessary duties if we want to have anybody be able to use radio. The enforcement of bans and licenses there, because it is a common shared space that people are occupying. It's not like radio waves stop at your property line. So since it is a common shared resource and a common shared space, you kind of have to have something there to keep, one entity. Like, for example, let's say Google wants to just broadcast to the entire United States at once at power levels that cause cancer on every band, so nobody can transmit anything else. You kind of have to have some method of enforcing that somebody doesn't do something like that. So there's some parts of the FCC that are necessary Yeah.
So then I'm going to throw this out there. So if the FCC is in charge of this, the bans that are damaging to people and to try to shut it down, how come it is that Jeff Bongiorno went to his apartment or his condo in New Jersey and was really getting sick? I mean, when he got off the phone with me that one night, he was absolutely frantic because he realized that they had like five or 6 feet above where he was standing, because he's on the top level, they had all these antennas and he couldn't figure out why he was losing his mind, like just stressed out of belief. He got a reader and he went up there and read the radiation coming off of it, or the damaging waves coming off of it, and it far exceeded what is allowable. And he said that he went down and he read the because they're putting these antennas everywhere, right? And the antennas that they had up there were reaching the school. So he walked down the street to the school and did readings at the schools, and it was like unbelievably high. So who's the failing? Is the FCC also in cahoots with this then? Because, I've got some questions about, say, 5G and some of the other stuff. Nobody's really, how do I say it? Satisfied my curiosity on this. When you've got people running around actually taking readings, actual readings, and it is high enough to damage human beings.
So
think about the crap that Signal Corps has been involved in.
Yeah, that is going to be something that the FCC should be enforcing that. And there are a lot of people dissatisfied with the FCC's lack of enforcement against
actual criminals or actual harmful behavior
against large entities, such as cell providers. There is a fair amount of regulatory capture between the FCC and the higher-ups at specifically Comcast and Verizon. AT&T to a lesser extent, but those two companies, there's a lot of crossover between the staff of the FCC and the higher-up staff at Verizon and Comcast. So there's a lot of people that have been dissatisfied lately. A lot of hams dissatisfied with the FCC's lack of enforcement of their own rules against some of the larger corporations. Mm-hmm. Now, the FCC is also the one that grants the licenses to them to put up those cell sites. However, the FCC is also responsible for enforcing that the companies stay within those limits, that they stay within the designated radiation patterns that they are allowed for their license. So, like, for example, here in Michigan, we fall under both the FCC as well as there are some portions of radio that also have to get Canadian approval. Because if you're transmitting over what Canada allows, then you're now crossing an international border with your violation. So there are some times I have heard of people here in Michigan that have had to change the antennas that they use to only transmit in certain directions and basically point them away from Canada to be able to satisfy both the FCC as well as basically the Canadian version of the FCC. So licenses can also include restrictions on where, which directions that you're allowed to transmit in. And the FCC is also in charge of basically enforcing that a license holder is not exceeding the directional or the power limits that they've been given.
So what I'm getting out of this, though, this whole discussion, because I've talked to the people with these antennas that they're putting all over the schools, on the roofs, near them and such, where looks like they're trying to fry kids. Very, very concerning that we've got regulatory capture going on there. And so anybody that wants to play ball with the FCC gets a pass. But if let's see, let me rephrase this. Anybody that wants to play ball with the corporate capture of our utilities, of our businesses and such, like BlackRock, State Street Capital, Arabella, Vanguard and such, gets a free pass, but they go after moms and dads sitting in their basement running ham radios.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. This is how this works. The whole structure of the United States of America right now, I believe, is you've got economic nonsense going on. Did you guys see that local farm that had their like $90,000 worth of milk, raw milk, confiscated? But yet they won't stop this nonsense with allowing, I'm going to just say it, and it's gross, pus in the milk from mastitis in the cows and such on these big farms. So I have some huge questions over this too.
Yeah, and also too,
I'll post it in a minute so we can look at it, because it was like I haven't posted it yet just because of the massive amount of information I've been searching through this last week or so.
So also another thing to consider is that for the presence of an antenna going up near you is not necessarily an indicator that the power levels at your location are going to be high. Antennas generally are not fully omnidirectional. So, like, for example, if you're next to a cell tower, if you're at the base of the cell tower, you will generally get no reception at all. And that's
goes
because
on a cone, doesn't it?
Yeah, so generally the way that most antenna systems on towers are built is with two things, something called gain and something called down tilt. Gain is like how it's not how much it amplifies a signal like some people seem to think it is. What it is basically how much it concentrates the signal into a direction. So rather than transmitting in every direction, it might only, like, if you've got like a dish antenna system, it might go out in a beam in one direction. But it's not going to transmit up and down and sideways and all that kind of stuff. So that's what gain is focusing it. And pretty much all tower-based antenna systems will use gain to a certain extent to concentrate their power outward as much as possible and not up or down, because going up is a complete waste of power, and going down is also going to have a very low density of people under it compared to being able to service more people by broadcasting outward. And so if you're given a certain power budget on your license, well, you want to use that to reach as many people as possible, so they go out. And then down tilt is how much that basically outward disc is pointed downward into kind of a cone. So a lot of times if you're directly under a tower, you will get far less power broadcasted to you than if you are outside of it. So like these towers that are put up on top of schools, if they're designed properly, they shouldn't actually service the school. And so the companies that are claiming that they need to put these towers up on top of schools for the students' safety, generally they're either misrepresenting that and they're looking for a cheap place to put a tower to serve the local area, or they're designing their antenna system intentionally very, very poorly and probably outside the bounds of the license. What's more dangerous, in my opinion, to schools is when they put a tower near a school. So like on the edge of a property or on an adjoining property or something like that, because then you're going to start getting within that cone of the gain and down tilt where you're going to get much higher power levels in a lot of cases. Not all, but that's the way most of them are designed.
Yeah, a lot of stuff with radio is very directional, and when you have like active phased array antennas and that sort of thing, you can do all kinds of things with that. So here you go. Here's what we're talking about. The tyrants in Michigan seized $90,000 worth of farm-to-table foods grown by Nourish Co-op. Now, I believe that this is Amish. Is that correct? Do you guys know anything about it?
I don't know on that.
I don't know. Ashley Armstrong and her sister Sarah, maybe not. First generation regenerative farmers, probably not. So at any rate, they were targeted by the state of Michigan cracked down on them again, this time targeting their raw cheese on May 28, 2024. All I got to say right now is that, you know what, everybody needs to grow their own food, and screw them. Screw the state, screw the United States government, the FDA, and all of them, because they are cracking down on the rights of people that they have no authority to do. They have no authority to do this. Where is this allowable in the Constitution? They trespass. Look at Brandon, the co-op's head of operations, declined to lead the inspectors around the facility, citing discomfort and pointing out no trespassing signs. However, due to the cooperative's food warehouse license, so that's where they went wrong right there. They got their stuff licensed. And in Michigan, inspectors were granted access to proceed and examine fridges, freezers, and seizing all raw dairy products, including raw cheese. So, you know, I hate to say it, but this whole nonsense starts with their illegal licensure of things. Here, Pepe's going to say hi a minute. Here you go. Hey, Pepe, say hi. There you go. Pepe don't give a crap about this either. I'm telling you what. There's Pepe. So at any rate, there's a huge problem with the licensure that we've agreed to. When you agree to a license, you agree to be under their jurisdiction. And I have a huge problem with this, the whole thing, you know?
This is theft, is what it is.
It's theft.
You have a right to life, liberty, and property. Some places it's written pursuit of happiness, but it is property. So when the government takes whether they intend to ingest the milk or sell it to somebody else, that is their property. That is their income. And that was one of the complaints in the revolution, that these government agencies, aka foreign military, were coming in, and one of the problems they had was they were killing their hogs or cattle right before winter, and they would have no food. They would literally starve to death because of this takeover. It's a hostile theft of property that is literally removing food from their mouths, or figuratively, but it's income. That's theft. The government has no right using an agency, right? What is the agency there? Is that constitutional? So this is where I was saying when they were coming after the dairy and poultry farms,
yes,
and saying, well, you need to do this and this, you need to shut down, you need to destroy your own animals, get off my property.
Mm-hmm.
You have no business here. And that was where I said, you know, we're tending to, some of us, you know, we don't really care about the industrial farming because we don't prefer our animals to be raised and slaughtered using those techniques. But they are feeding our nation. And those farmers that own that property deserve the same protections that the rest of us do when it comes to their right of property. The government had no right to come in there and tell them what to do. If they're not safe and they have problems, the economy will take care of that. The economy will shut them down. No one will want to purchase their meat, their eggs, their whatever. But that's not how the agencies step in. You know, like Ralph was saying, and sometimes government has a good intention of protecting the people. But we have to balance that with the right of property. Those rights are only a problem when they conflict on the rights of others. So if they're not bothering anybody else, if their animals are not really sick, if they're not hurting anybody else by virtue of their animals spreading disease, they have every right to keep them, keep raising them, keep butchering them, keep selling the meat, the eggs, whatever they have. They are allowing the government to come in and interfere with them because they fear being shut down. And what should have happened is everybody in the locality, in the county, in the state should have shown up on those farmers' doors and told the government, step off, get out. You have no right to interfere with their property.
I love how everybody says, when you're in politics too, you work for me, you work for me. Well, if that's the case, then you better start acting like a boss and telling them what's going to be done instead of just repeating that catchphrase and then doing nothing.
Well, and the other thing about this too is that,
to your point, Karen, show up to the farmers and help defend them.
And the FDA was originally not intended to do what it's doing now. The FDA was originally intended to basically be a trade enforcement organization to make sure that what was on labels of things was actually what was being sold. It was a method of enforcing that there wasn't fraud, that there was truth in labeling, so that trade could properly happen. It wasn't about so much restricting what could be sold as if you're going to sell something as something, it had better be that something.
Yeah, they don't have to approve or disapprove.
That was to cut down on some of the snake oil salesmen that were selling things that were completely different than what was on the bottle. It wasn't about preventing harm to people so much as, well, if people wanted to choose to buy something that was harmful, then it had better be labeled as that. And they're far overstepping. And then the other thing with this too is the whole thing about bird flu I find kind of laughable, because this is all the panic over bird flu. This is a seasonal thing. We get a bird flu pretty much every year because you have the captive flocks that are not in the north that this stuff keeps circulating in, and then you have the songbirds and the other migratory birds that fly north and carry it up here, and this is not something that this happens like every single year. Not something to worry about.
And it's like, how do you regulate the flight or the paths? And they never want to go after the migratory birds. They go after our food supply. This is a communist theme that gets repeated over and over and over again.
Exactly.
And so it's like, all right, people, don't buy into their stupidness, because it's an attack. This is an absolute attack on our nation. So anyhow, let's go back to the Soros fast track takeover of radio. I believe that Ralph posted this Biden's fast tracking Soros radio takeover. So Biden's helping them take over the radio component so that we can't communicate. So they go after our food, they go after our lawfare, they go after economics, and now they're going after communication to the only stuff that we have left that's outside of fake media besides the citizen journalist stuff.
Yeah, so the gist of this is that there is a law in the books that says that anyone, I'd have to look up the specifics of it, but they're basically, you can't have a more than 25% stake in major media corporations by a foreign entity. Now, I think that has been pretty much ignored for the last several decades at least. However, in this case, what's happening is that George Soros is trying to buy up the second largest radio broadcasting company in the United States. And they are trying to get an exception to this foreign ownership rule by the FCC so that he can actually do this.
Yeah, look at everybody that they're trying to take down. Owns more than 220 stations nationwide, reaches 165 million monthly listeners. You know what? We're just gonna have to switch over to Brandenburg News Network. That's what it is. It's like
All there is to it.
That's all there is to it. End of story. If everybody switches over to BNN, we'll put all this crap out here and expose them for what they are. But you know what? We're going to need your help. Please tell people about us, and we'll keep bringing this stuff forward. It's going to be Ralph, Karen, myself, and everybody else that's on BNN trying to spread the truth. But we need your help. Spread it, so that we can repost. Here's something interesting. When it comes to a broadcast station acquisition of this size and magnitude, hundreds of radio stations across more than 45, good number, markets, the FCC needs to run its full and normal review process. So we'll see what happens with that. We're going to keep our eyes on that and see what's going on. So we're kind of working on a radio network actually right now that's outside of the bounds of what's normal, and that's been kind of fun. We have been working on something, everybody, and we were asked to expand it. So it could end up being a very interesting thing. But watch my post as we move forward with this, because I think that there's always ways that we can get around their subversion. We just can't let it get to us. You just got to realize that you just got to keep going. And when they hit you, you just hit them back harder, and you do it in ways they don't expect or they can't control. Decentralization is the key to everything. What say you?
Yep.
Well, I agree. And I'm sitting here thinking back of my commentary about the poultry farms and the dairy farms. If that was a test of how aware and informed, I want to say educated, the people are. The people failed miserably. Because we go rah farmers, we need farmers. But when it comes to protecting the rights of farmers, we failed that one. We missed the boat. And I think it's, like I said, I think it's because a lot of people don't like how I want to say industrial level farms, the larger farms, operate. We like the idea of small farms, which is great. And I think that as a side effect of what was happening with the bird flu narrative is a healthy thing in the long run. And that's why I didn't jump up and run over to the farmers and say, hey, what can we do to support you? Because I see in the long run, this is going to happen one way or another. But it goes to that story of being the last one on the train cars. They came for my neighbor first, but I'm not my neighbor, and so therefore I'm okay. And until they get down to you, and then suddenly the 2 chickens that you have in your suburban backyard are getting taken from you, then it's personal. That's not how it's supposed to be. We should be so aware and informed that we should jump up and protect everybody's rights. It's like the free speech concept too. I have it recorded. I found out when I was going through my phone trying to delete some stuff. I still have a recording of me defending someone else's right to speak in a public meeting. Didn't matter whether I agreed with them or not. I was willing to raise my hand and say, no, you don't. That's a violation of the Open Meetings Act. You can't do that, among other things. And suddenly the board wanted to hear from the people because I put a little pressure on, and they wilted. It only takes one sometimes. Sometimes it takes a lot more. But people, we have got to do a better job of that. If nothing else, you have to share it when you see a wrong. If you're not courageous enough to be that one guy or gal to stand up and say, no, what are you doing to that farmer? What are you doing to that, whatever label you want to use? in whatever circumstance. If it's a violation of their rights, even if they don't have the guts, and in this circumstance, this woman, she was speaking about DEI. She defined it. She was the first person to speak. And this board interrupted her and told her that they're not talking about the definition. They're not going to argue about that. And I was so appalled, but I was so shocked that it didn't, in the moment I spoke up because I could hear it on the video. They cut her mic off. They cut her mic off and they used up her time. And she sat back down because she didn't have the knowledge and the fortitude and the guts to say, hey, wait a minute, I still have X amount of time according to your rules. She didn't even have that.
Wrong, though. The rules are wrong.
They are. But even if you don't know that, be that guy who says, hey, wait a minute, you can't cut her off and you owe her more time and your attention because she is instructing you and airing a grievance. She has every right to speak as long as she wants to, and you will hear her. And we just don't, number one, we're not informed. As Bill talks about on Wednesdays, he's bringing forward a lot of history and a lot of Constitution. People just don't know. And how do we express the right of free speech if we don't know what's incorporated in that? If we don't know the history of the Supreme Court opinion of New York Times versus Sullivan, you still have to have just a basic comprehension of what it means to have a right to free speech and be willing to say to your neighbor, hey, didn't your right just get violated? Because that might be all the encouragement that that man or woman needs to say, you know what, I think you're right. What should we do? And then you pull in a third person and say, hey, don't you know about the Constitution? What can we do here? That is what is happening in this country right now. It thrills me to see it happening, that people are learning what their rights are and sharing that information and desiring for something better, because the more of us there are who speak in this way with passion, and I said that a few weeks ago about Bill, your passion matters almost as much as or was it somebody else? The passion and the fortitude to say, this is the truth. And this is what needs to happen. That spurs the rest of the nation to follow you. I think it was Bill I said that about.
The courage to fight. And even if you're the only one that speaks up when you see something wrong, you've got to speak up. And it doesn't matter if anybody approves of what you say or if they like you. If you've got the guts to speak up and say something, you have to speak up and you have to be loud. And that's well said, Karen. And
even if it's not effective in that moment, you'd be surprised, like that day, or there's been other days where I used to attend the public meetings a lot more frequently, and somebody would shyly come up to me afterwards. Sometimes more than one person would say, hey, I heard you in this meeting and I want to thank you for saying what you said. I learned something, or I was inspired, is what they were expressing. And it's like, okay, thanks, but like, yeah, like this is what we're supposed to do. Like, where were you? But it happens. Those people are listening. And even if you're not effective, even if you wilt when they push back, there will be others who will say, hey, that took guts. And I think she was right. And maybe next time I'll do that too.
Courage is courageous or contagious. Courage is contagious. So when somebody sees another person stand up, even in the face of being persecuted or wronged, other people get incensed by it. and will stand together. And I think that's what we're seeing with the rightful president of the United States,
Yes.
President Donald J. Trump, is that they're seeing this absolute unlawful treatment of our president, the rightful president. And if it can happen to him, it can happen to all of us. But even so much as this Nourish, they had $90,000 of their products stolen. And then I don't know if you read the rest of the article, but they went back and they made it right what they were contesting after they seized the property. But they're not going to get it back because the guy refused to sign an order for it. So it's like once they get you, they continue to have you sign. And as long as you comply, the state of Michigan, you want to know what these yahoos did in the state of Michigan? This is the legislature that did this. They decided to pass a law or an unconstitutional law. They're all traitors by signing this. They're traitors that candidates have to submit a personal financial system. Now, this was voted into being February 15th, and it went into effect May 15th. That if you do not submit a PFAS, by the way, then you are in violation, and they start fining you. So I didn't even know that this was in effect, but it shouldn't have mattered because I actually had our attorney pull something that says this doesn't apply to you because you're not a candidate for the 2026 election. But I never filed anything to state that I was, but I left my candidate committee open because I'm fighting crap in the legal system. Well, I get a call and they're like, well, it does apply to you because that's the only metric we have is that if you have a candidate committee open, then it's a bad law. And I had two people tell me this is bad, but it was another ambush law, just like they did to the rightful president of the United States. And if you don't think they're going to come after him, me, and then you're next, you're crazy. So they said that somebody said that they would need to have a declaration. So I'm fighting it, but I'm not going to pay it. And I hope they drag my sorry behind into court over this, honestly, because they can find a way, but I'm not going to submit this. And we're just going to see where this leads. But I did one email. I'm going to do some more because when you see something like this, you have to fight it. You can't just lay down. You've got to fight it. Otherwise, it's just death by 1,000 cuts in this nation. And every single person is absolutely responsible for this. Charlotte's on this morning, said they're on a power trip. They think they're getting bonds when they're over budget and nothing's getting done. Where's the money going? I just see them as feeding NGOs, no checks and balances, all wasted money. You're absolutely right, Charlotte. You are absolutely right. The people that are sitting in these seats are criminals. But the great thing is that we know who they are. We know where they are. We know what they've done. It's pretty easy when you measure this against what's constitutionally allowable, which is the highest law of the land. They're violation of the highest law of the land. When you start mandating this sort of thing and weaponizing agencies, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. There's going to come a day of reckoning. And I'm going to invite everybody out there who is participating in this to step away. It's your warning shot, because there's going to come a day of reckoning on this. You're being given a chance to right the wrongs that you have participated in. And walking away is the first step. Walk away. God will provide. Don't worry about it, but you have to walk away from doing the things that are wrong. God always provides a way. But those people that stay in it, they are complicit. They are giving them their approval and their consent to continue on this attack on the United States of America. And that's what I have to say. Well, guys, let's cut this a little bit short today. I've got some editing to do from Turning Point Action, as well as the stuff going on with the Constitution Party in Michigan, which is the U.S. Taxpayers Party. I'm one busy gal. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to ask everybody if you will join us. I would most certainly appreciate this. Let me bring up the winning design. Oh, I did do I did do a research thing. Let me bring this up here because I think this is interesting because it's going to lead right back to Michigan. Michigan is in fact the head of the snake here. Let me bring this up real quick.
You know, something that I like to say in regards to all of the machines in the elections, but this also applies to all of this other stuff that our public functionaries are pulling on us, is that, you know, there's a good and the bad thing about all of this stuff being digital. The bad thing is that, you know, nothing digital ever truly gets ever really truly gets deleted, right? You post something to Facebook and you try and delete your account, you know they're going to keep your data, right? So the bad thing about it is that nothing ever truly seems to get deleted. The great thing about it is that nothing ever seems to get truly deleted, and they're leaving evidence of their crimes all over the place.
And with the amount of surveillance, remember that the tools that they built against us, we can use against them, which is kind of amazing when you have good people that are in places that we can, in fact, and we will, and we are using the tools to find them. No one's going to get away. When the rightful president of the United States said we have it all, we have it all. And he has never failed to deliver on his promises. So I'm going to go back to this because everybody's beating up on Q. Well, I'm a Q. I love Q, okay? Because I've actually read the Q posts, not what people are saying about them, but I actually read them. So I wanted to bring this up. I talked about the lanterns yesterday, and I want to show you where this is going because I think this is kind of important. And some of this is... you have to do a little bit of digging on this. And I didn't make any comments on my Telegram channel about this, but we're going to go there today. Anybody wants to have a discussion on Q and why Q is good, bad, or the other ways? Pretty extra sure you've never read the post. You've just been listening to people who tell you what to think. I'm going to put the Q post out there from the Q and one of the Q aggregators, which is qalerts.app. And I posted this yesterday. So this was April 26, 2022. Oh, we've got Maria Bartiromo, and she there's a Twitter post there. I'm not going to do that, but I want you to show you how this goes. So there's 3988 showing the tower. And the next one is the lanterns. And remember, I told you about the lanterns in the tower, the signal of basically the revolution, one by land, two by sea, and or whatever, or could actually mean, I don't know what it means, but I think that we can go there and look at lanterns. So April 18, 2020 was before the one that Maria posted, 3987. So we have 3987 and 3988. So let's look at it. So I did this as a murder mystery. Michigan Murder Mystery Book 2. I've had other murder mysteries on here before, so this is my second one. The other one had to do with ray-ups, etc. Lanterns, Light the Way, Part 2. Where will it lead? Shall we play a game? Well, check this out. And I want to point out to you Caroline Kennedy's face. She is smirking. And who do we have here? Liz, the criminal, Cheney, as getting a lantern. And this is from the JFK library. And guess who else got one? Nancy Pelosi. There are many more. And oh my gosh, look at this. And look at Caroline is absolutely smirking her ever-living behind off because she knows what's going on. Is this an honor or is this pointing to who we should be looking at in seeing the criminals? We're going to finish this up. So we've got Jocelyn Benson with her.
She always looks like she's in a panic too. It's great. It's great for memes.
She's got a stupid little smile on her face all the time.
It's like deer in the headlights all the time.
Stupid little smile on her face. We got Cheney over here with a stupid little smile on her face because they think they're so smart. But who's the real smart one? I would say that would be Caroline. She knows what's going on. Because what are we doing? I'm going to get there. It's going to go further because not only that, this ties back to what's going on with the oligarchs in the state of Michigan. Michigan, I'm going to arguably say, is the head of the snake. And I will prove it to you. And guess what? Now here we go with some more snakes defending democracy. We've got to defend democracy. Oh my gosh. Well. White House correspondence gift lamp to President Kennedy in the Oval Office. Guess who probably was involved in this? I'm going to say every one of them. So here we go with the lanterns and a deer in the headlights. Jocelyn Benson, the criminal who allowed our elections to be certified, and Cheney, who hasn't done anything right. We know where that goes. And then I went down to the Ford Museum because I've got a friend, Judah Ayers, and we were kind of working on some stuff. He's worked on it because he was within Amway. Let's see. Is the Ford Museum, which isn't the Ford Museum at all, on a piece of land that was owned by the DeVosses? Yes, it was. And what's the shape of this from the sky? Looks like a pyramid to me, people. So anyhow, here we go. Healer of Nations. There's the lantern given to Ford, the compromised criminal. Gerald R. Ford Path and Courage Award. Remember, these people are Satanists, so what's up is up is down, and what's down is up. And there's Kennedy. In whatever arena of life, one may meet the challenge of courage. There's more than that going on here. I'm pretty sure that we have a bunch of really good guys that have been working on this thing that's going on since the death of Kennedy in 1963, the year that I was born. And here we go. We're going to go back to the smirk here, but this is tied into Ford. Ford had it. Ford on the DeVos property right there. The Ford Museum, which I will have an issue with anybody to say it's not a Ford Museum at all. It's the Kissinger Museum and the puppet masters who have been pulling the strings. I'm not so sure that Ford was always a bad guy, but he surely was roped into this, and it looks like it was outside of his will. So let's take a look at this, because then I think this tells us a lot. And I have a great way to show where this is going. When confronted with issues that needed to be addressed, Robert F. Kennedy was fond of saying, hang a lantern on your problem. Wonder if they're hanging lanterns on their problems, or who it was that was behind the group or the entity that was behind the Kennedy assassinations.
You know, there must have been someday there was a conversation with some people who were talking about that quote, and then they come up with this plan.
Well, let's go ahead and let me finish this a minute, because I want to stay with this. Okay, so defending democracy at home. Who was given these awards? For the first time ever, the John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage Award honored 5 individuals: Zelensky, Cheney, Benson, Russell Rusty Bowers, and Wandrea Arshane Moss. I don't even know who that is. And we're going to keep going. So here we go. There's a whole list of them here, going back in time and who got awards. I'm going to pull it up in a minute. Who did they hang the lantern around the necks of? Here you go, guys. Here's your criminals. And guess who's in it? I'll go to that next. Now I went to the Ford Museum, which is actually the Kissinger Museum. This thing has got Kissinger's name and face all over the place. And I'm going to tell you what I saw. I saw a puppet in Ford who was being directed full time by Henry Kissinger. Dual citizenship. Hang a lantern on your problem. And let me run back into this, because I think this is real important that people need to see, and exactly what's going on there with arguably the DeVosses, as well as Amway and all of their symbolism. And Kennedy's basically shoved it right in their faces. They literally shoved it right in their faces. And I think this is incredibly important to bring forward. So I posted this link. Let's stick it right in their faces, everybody, because I think this is important, really important. Here we go. This is what you do in your research, or you're going to get right to the bottom of things. and shove it right in their faces so they can't get away from it. 2022 Profile and Courage Award. Here we go. We've got Zelensky, Cheney, Benson, Bowers, and Moss here, right? But there's more, because now let's go back to these guys here. Let me see if I can pull up the full I'm going to go to the full post here because I think this is important. There's more to this. Defended Democracy Award goes further because there's more than, let me see if I can pull this one up. And we're going to see if we can get all the awards here, because this is going to be the list of criminals that we need to look at in order to know who they hung the lanterns around. And I think this list is very encouraging because they basically put it out there for everyone to see. I've got to get back past the hang on a minute. We've got a list of all these people, and I think this is important to give them their due. So let's check out this list right here. I'm going to see if I can, there's a, if it's going to just provide me with one at a time here when I had it up before I had the whole list. So yeah, we're going to have to go back, and I'm going to bring this up here and you can see the full award list, starting with Michael Adams here in 2024. But let's go all the way down to when this thing started, which is right here, 1990, and go all the way back. All the names here in the list. Peacemakers of McCain got one in 99. And all the way up here, Ford, Kofi Annan. Watch the globalists emerge here. This is not about an honor. It's about hanging this around their necks for what they've done to this nation. We've got all of these names over here. Watch them. Here's your list to dig on now, and let's find out what they've done. We've got the Bushes in there. George Bush, Bridges, Inglis, Mallory, Obama, Pelosi, Romney. You've got COVID Courage Award. You've got Defending Democracy, which is where you'll find Benson. Leaders of South Korea and Japan, South Carolina senators. Let's look and see who we've got in the COVID Courage team, which is the COVID criminal team. Amy Acton, Bernal Colton, Fred Freeman, Antonio Green, Lauren Lender, Daryl Marks, and Gretchen Whitmer got one. Check it out, guys. They're telling us exactly who we need to be looking at because they're hanging the lantern around their necks. And with that said, I think that's a great place to stop. What do you think, guys?
Sounds like fun.
I wonder if we can find Nestle in there. I bet Nestle got one too, because we've got Whitmer, and we've got Whitmer, and we've got I'll bet you Nestle's in there. I just gotta open them all up. So there you go. Former state health director of Ohio. I really do think, guys, we do some digging here and we're going to find a lot of answers. So with that said, short comment from either one of you, and we're going to go on to our days.
Good info to ponder.
I shared a video the other day, yesterday, I think, from Twitter, probably early in the day. A man, maybe it was 2 days ago, a man was complaining about his circumstances, and what he was seeing happen in the world around him, and he was just sobbing in his vehicle. But by the end of the post, he said, "Come on, everybody, we have to stand together." And it's interesting to watch in just a 2 or 3 minute time span him transitioning from grief and frustration into anger and the energy for change, and trying to encourage people around him to stand with him. He doesn't say what he wants people to do. He just says, let's stand together. I think there's a lot of that happening right now, where there are people who are seeing the rug pulled out from under them in a sense of what's going around, but they're also saying, okay, it's time. The evils are no longer sufferable for them. I find that encouraging. But I think it also, what I pointed out was, we need to be kind and compassionate to people like him, because this is a hard place to find yourself. And there are unfortunately people who will go so far as to commit suicide in their deeply negative, horrible emotional state. So be kind to people, help bring everybody up.
Unless somebody needs a kick in the rear end for like breaking the law and such and such, you know.
Sometimes that's the kind action.
Sometimes that's the kind action is, you know, to let them have it, because you're giving them a warning shot before prosecution. How's that?
Well, for some, yes. Well, I'm saying for this type of person, he's there. He's figured it out.
Yeah.
But he's morose about it. He wants to be a lion, and he needs a moment to process. While he's there, don't kick him. You know, don't, because that's what people were doing, was saying, I'm a pureblood because I wasn't stupid. And just like then, don't pick on these people who are now not fitting into the quote unquote normie category. You just woke up a lion, help them along, say welcome.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Between criminals who knew what they were doing and trying to save their own behinds and continuing to make it worse, and people who are just trying, they're just people, human beings. Human beings are very flawed. All of us are. And we're not God. There's one God. He's there. We're here. They're here. Good all the time, not always good, okay, and confused quite often. And so we got to remember that. So, and I think that this is a great place to stop. I really have to get going. I've got so much to do right now. And I was hoping to hold it to an hour, but of course we got into stuff that needed to be talked about. So we did go through that. And I think that's very valuable. And it's valuable to have the insight of just sitting here talking. So let's just say a prayer and we're going to go to our day, guys. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this wonderful day that you've given us. Help us and guide us, direct our steps, what we're supposed to do, our work that we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to say, and give us your eyes to see people the way that you do, with discernment, that we realize that people are struggling right now. People are going to make bad choices, just being normal human beings, they're not the enemy. The enemy is the ones who have waged war against you. And we realize that, we acknowledge that. And we ask that you would help us to see everyone with your eyes, so that we know how to act and react in all situations as you guide and lead us. Thank you so much for showing us what we need to know, for leading us out of the captivity that we have been in for so long by these criminals in office. And we know that you're in charge. It's your plan. We trust the plan. The plan is, in fact, your plan. And we submit to everything that you would ask us to do, because we love you. You're good all the time, and you always care for us, and you're always walking with us. Thank you so much. We love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And so now for our day, guys, the part of the show, boys and girls, with go to BrandenburgForGovernor.com. Actually, go to BrandenburgNewsNetwork.com, because I'm not really on the Brandenburg for Governor site much right now, because I'm trying to get news out there. Go to BrandenburgForGovernor.com or BrandenburgNewsNetwork.com. And because I'm the best non-conceder who has ever not conceded to liars, cheats, and thieves in the United States of America. And I would love to have a discussion with the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, over this, because I think I got him beat. I really do. There's some fine points in there. Just so I got to say. But anyhow, God bless you all. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. Have a great day. Make it so. Be a force for God on this earth. First and foremost, we need to be a force here of good. So if you don't have a good example, be one. Make that choice. Stand up for those that need to be defending, like Karen did, and like we all do every single day. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow with the Turning Point Action media row buddies that we made there, citizen journalists. It's going to be a lot of fun. Karen and Ralph will be back tomorrow also with Dr. David Kent with Off the Grid. Have a great day.